that and trying to check those things off. So we're failing at 31%. And number 1 right here, it's actually number 3 and 4 in the list. I'm not using HTTPS, okay? So obviously there's many ways of forcing the user to use a secure connection, but for today I'm just using a simple redirect. I'm going to uncomment that. So if someone does happen to come to my site using HTTP, they're going to be kicked over, forced to use a secure connection. All right. So now we can see up here it's redirecting. Is that large enough? I apologize if you can't see that URL. Let's run our lighthouse again. See if it's happier. Okay, a little better. We're at 46%, so that's progress. Let's see what else it's unhappy about. Number 7 down here, viewport. The content is not sized correctly for the viewport. And so in the past, if you've created these old HTML static web pages, we always had to think about, is this 8 by 600, 1024 by 768, and all that fun stuff. And recently, obviously, it's gotten a whole lot easier to deal with that. And much of that is due to this viewport tag. That's basically going to instruct the browser, hey, regardless of the screen device we're running on, take that device screen width, and that's going to be the width of our browser page, okay? And we're going to scale to 1.0. So we go back. Now we have our viewport set. Run this again. All right, we're at 58%. And if you noticed, let me run this again. When it shows on the little mobile screen, the icons, the pictures aren't tiny in the corner of that mobile phone. It's nice and large. So that's because we set the viewport to adjust to the width of the mobile device. So it looks a lot better. All right. So obviously our goal here is to get something that feels like a little standalone mobile app. Something else it's wanting us to do here is set the theme color so that the app looks the same, the colors are consistent throughout. And actually before we do that, we're going to come to something called the manifest. So we can see 3 errors here in the lighthouse. No manifest, no manifest, no manifest. What is a manifest? Anyone work with manifests? A little definition for that. The manifest is basically a simple JSON script to tell the browser about your app, okay? So this is really what's forming the foundation to set this apart from a regular web page to a standalone mobile app. All right, so I'm going to show a very basic manifest right here. It's about as basic as you can get. The name of the app is My Ugly App. All right, so we're going to tell my web page about this manifest. And you just do that in the header with a link to the manifest. I'll uncomment that. All right, so I'm going to reload my page here now that we've got a very, very simple manifest. And we were at 58% before. We're still at 58% because adding a manifest that really had nothing to it opened a whole new can of worms. And it wants a lot more stuff in that. So let's start working through. Down here it says number 5, the manifest doesn't have a theme color. Okay, so getting back to that look and feel. I'm going to go back to my manifest, and instead of boring you with typing everything, I'm just going to do a little copy and paste today. So I got a theme color. Just keep it nice and white. And then that has to match this theme color in your meta tag, which is also white, okay? And of Of course, you can get more complex with the colors there, but that will make it happy as far as this whole theme thing is concerned. And we'll look at my phone at the actual app when we're done here. Yay, we're at 62%, making progress. Number 4 here, it says, I do not have a custom splash screen. Now, even though this app is going to be caching all this stuff, there's still a little startup time, and we don't want the screen to be white. Okay, we want something on the screen. So PWAs are going to ask us for icons and a background color at the very least to display something halfway interesting to the user. So I'm going to copy a little bit of this here, then we can look at it. Okay, so now our manifest has a description, got background color, and we have some icons defined that can show up on the splash screen or can show up as the icon on the desktop for the user. So I think we have our splash screen set up correctly. See if we made any progress. Okay, we're at 65%. Coming along. Now what's it asking for? It's asking for us to define this display tag and the short name. I'm going to copy these tags in, then we can look at that a little bit. When we launch the mobile app, we want it to look like an app. So that's why we have display set as standalone. Setting it standalone, you're not going to have a toolbar, you're not going to have a bookmarks bar, you're not going to have a URL that you would typically have in a browser. So the browser window is going to look and feel more like a standalone app. It also is asking for a short name. So in case you have a much longer official name, like ugly application, there might be some instances where that name is too long, like on your home screen on your phone if you don't have room. So this short name, it's going to fail to that and have something that's nice and concise and that will fit. So now we have an app that should stand alone, have a good name, and let's see what kind of progress we made with our lighthouse. All right, 65. I think that's about the same as we were before. It's asking for a service worker. So if you've created Java apps, you have these services, you have all these things that run in the background, even though your app is closed, right? So a service worker is pretty much the same thing. And it's a whole topic to itself. There's books on it. So I'm not going to even try to hardly scratch the surface here today on service workers. But you can do all the magic with your service workers. This is what allows us to cache in the background, push notifications, background sync. So it's kind of the bones that allow us to do that offline experience. You can do a lot of things with it. But we'll create a minimal service worker today. And basically what we're doing is we're defining a cache name at the beginning, which tells where those cache files are going to store, and that has to be a unique name across your apps that you've created. And very little else happening besides saying into the console, this service has installed, okay? Now we've got a simple JavaScript file. That's going to kick that off. So this JavaScript file is going to register my service worker file. Going to register it with the phone, so that's going to run in the background as its own separate app. Okay? So this main.js is kicking off and registering the service worker. Now we got to tell our index about this. So I'm going to go back here, uncomment my main JS file, which is kicking off installing and registering my service worker. And I think we've done what we need to do there. So let's run another audit. Hey, we're at 69%. More progress. Now, what's it telling me here? The service worker does not successfully serve the start URL. When you first launch your mobile app on your phone, it's going to search for a certain website. Now, you would assume that's always your index.html or index.php site. It doesn't assume that. You have to define exactly what that starting URL is going to be. So paste that start URL into our web manifest. So I'm just saying it's my ugly app / index.php file is what's going to pull automatically at the beginning. All right. So we're still at 69%. Even though we defined the start URL, it timed out. So let me run this audit once again, and you're going to see your classic web page not found error. It'll blink for about half a second. Right there, no internet, okay? And this is going to be a legit PWA. It's got to work if there's no internet, right? If you're on the phone, or if you're on a plane, or out in network coverage, still got to have this app functional. And we're going to use our service worker to do that. I'm going to copy in a little bit of code. Let me back up. I missed something. Let me go to our console, and I can see here, it might be a little small, but it says the service worker was successfully registered. So I know I've got that service worker running correctly and registered in the background. So let's add some functionality to our service worker. Because right now, it's pretty basic, not doing anything. I'm going to paste, let's just copy this whole thing. Oh. We're going to basically paste 2 blocks of code into this. Number 1 is the fetch and the cache functionality. So when someone's using the app and they've got network connection, it's going to download those assets, HTML, JavaScript, images, you can have database information, CSS. It's going to download all this and stuff it into this cache that we named up here. All right, so anytime we load a page, it's downloading and caching that. All right. Of course, that doesn't do us any good if we don't utilize that later on. I'm going to copy this code in. This is our fetch code. You don't have to memorize this. There's plenty of good tutorials and resources online of how to do this. But basically, what our fetch code is saying is when there's a request from your app for a network resource, if it finds that the network is down, instead of returning an error, it's going to check the cache. Is this resource there? And pull it from the cache and put it up on our page. I'm going to save that. Updated our service worker. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything here. I think we're good. All right, so let's go back to our Spotlight audit tool. And let's run an audit. Notice down here I have checked clear storage. That's important for when you're running the audit. That way it's not caching something every time and give you unreliable results if you don't do that. Okay, score. I got 100% there. Now let's run that audit again. Remember how we got that network error network was down, web page was down. See if you see that. It blinks, it's pulling from the cache, okay? So even though network might be down, we're pulling from the cache. So we've got a 100% score, that's exciting. We can work offline. So I'm going to attempt to show my phone on the screen here, which is a little dicey. I told my wife not to text me anything too embarrassing. All right. There's a little lag, so I'm going to try not to go too fast here. All right, I'm going to pull up my web browser, and let's see if I can remember the URL for this. Let's see. Oh, I cleared my history. So I've got another app at work. You guys can pull this up if you want, but you can't log into it. Kenco Spotlight. Okay. There's actually my server. That's another project we're working on. Let me back up here. Okay, and what do we call this? Ugly app? Okay, so there's our app. Notice, okay, it's still still trying to catch up with me here. So here's my ugly app. Notice what's at the bottom. I didn't program that in. Add ugly app to home screen. So it's prompting me, even though there's a web page, it's prompting me to install this as an app. And that's pretty cool. So I'm going to click on this. Okay. So see how I pulled up my icon right there? Okay. So I'm going to add this to home screen. Who knows where to put that app? There it is. Right here in the top. There we go. So here's my ugly app right up there. If I launch it, watch carefully. I'm not sure if you'll see it due to the lag, but you should see a brief splash screen. Right there, splash. Now it's the app. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to go back here to this app. I'll hold down my finger on it. Whoop. Okay, app info. That's not a hyperlink to a website. It's saying app info. So I'm going to click on that. Look at that. It's not a website. That looks like an app. You could uninstall it. You could force stop it. Shows you disk storage. It's just a website. You can even uninstall it. I'm going to hold down, drag it up here. And it says, do you want to uninstall this app? I'm going to say yes, since there's some lag there. And it uninstalled. So I'm going to go back there and install it again. Again, it's prompting me to install it, which is cool. I'll install it. So now, let's do something else. I'm going to, I just remembered something. I'm going to turn off my connection. So I'm going to lose my connection to the screen here. But Wi-Fi is off. My mobile data is off. So I'm going to launch the app right here on my screen. I still have it. So it's pulling from the cache. So I think that's pretty cool. Let me show a few final notes here. Let's go to good. This information is a little bit outdated. Notice I've been using Chrome today. Okay. This website is about a year old, but I couldn't find a good matrix to show this on. If we look at the mobile Android using Chrome browser, we've got really good support for PWAs, okay? Gets a little dicier if you're using some of these. Now, if this was updated, I'm sure we'd have more green check marks. But the other browsers are still trying to catch up. Chrome is leading the way in PWAs. Notice Safari, if you're using iOS, it's at least able to do service workers and offline browsing. So we'll get there, but unfortunately, you're going to have by far your best support on Chrome. So that's something to keep in mind. If your users aren't using Chrome 100%, you probably want to make sure it fails over nicely to not using a PWA. Now here's the really cool thing. Found this online the other day. Thank you for your pop-ups. Google Play Store now open for progressive web apps. So for your clients who say, I want an app, that's fine. You can put this in the App Store. I have not tried this. And according to this blog, it took a little doing to actually get it up there. So I don't know. But the support is coming for this. And that would be interesting to find out.
You can do a web view for the Google Play Store. You can't do it for iOS. They won't let you do that. I mean, you can, but you can't get your app accepted. But I would assume that they're not really checking your version. They might test it to see if the first thing you put in works. And then after that, I mean, you're just updating it. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good comment. I've never had problems getting apps accepted to the App Store, so it shouldn't be too hard. So that pretty much concludes what I had to demo today. Any other questions, comments? I'm not an authority on this, but there's a ton of good information on there, and I think it's a really neat technology that things are kind of going towards that can be really useful.
So if you install it and you're using Firefox on your Android, does it open it up again using Firefox, or is it using Chrome?
That's a good question. I would assume, that's a really good question. I would assume it would be trying to use your default browser to run that app, but I haven't tried that. That's a really good question. Yeah. So, anyone have any insights on that? I should know that, but I don't. So. Yeah. Okay. So it might be at the OS level that's trying to handle that. Okay. Good. Good question. Anything else? All right. Well, I think we came in under time, so I appreciate your time. But I appreciate the team here for having me, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'll try to come back and learn some more. It sounds like there's some really cool events here. So thanks, everyone.